20,000 years ago, this world was not meant for humans. Temperatures dropped below freezing, and survival meant constant struggle. Yet somehow, small groups of humans crossed into this frozen land. They came from Asia, across a frozen bridge called Beringia. They didn't know where they were going, only that they had to keep moving. And they followed the giants, mammoths, their key to survival. Every hunt meant life or death. They hunted together because alone, no one survived. One mistake, and the hunter became the hunted. Food meant warmth, strength, and another day alive. Their clothing wasn't fashion. It was survival armor. They built shelters from bones and covered them with skin. Fire was everything. Without it, they would freeze within hours. They protected the young because they were the future. But danger never slept. Predators were always watching. Every face carried exhaustion and quiet strength. They crossed frozen rivers, risking cracks beneath their feet. They survived because they never left anyone behind. Each sunrise was a victory. But nature was never on their side. Blizzards could erase everything in minutes. They pushed forward, even when their bodies begged them to stop. They adapted, improved, learned fast. Tools became smarter, sharper, deadlier. They planned hunts like a strategy. Speed, teamwork, and timing were everything. Fire turned survival into strength. And under frozen skies, they rested. Another day began, another fight to survive. They kept moving into a world no human had ever seen before. They moved south, searching for land that could sustain life. The ice began to loosen, but survival was still uncertain. New animals appeared, new opportunities to survive. They communicated without words. Every movement mattered.
Keep the dogs close.
They learned to hunt smarter, not harder. Each hunt was a test of skill and courage. They carried survival with them. Every piece mattered. They began choosing better places, safer, more stable. Life slowly became a little more controlled. They improved their clothing, making it stronger against the cold. The climate was changing, and they adapted again. The great ice sheets began to retreat. Fresh water appeared, bringing new life. Plants returned, offering new sources of food. They were no longer just hunters. They became gatherers. Knowledge was passed on from one generation to the next. Their tools evolved, becoming more precise. The land itself was transforming. They began hunting smaller animals, more reliable, less dangerous. Traps replaced risk. with strategy. Life became slightly easier, but never safe. The cold always returned without warning. They learned to prepare before danger arrived. And still, nature tested them again and again. But every storm they survived made them stronger. They kept moving, following a changing world. The Ice Age was slowly losing its grip. New life returned, filling the skies. And for the first time, the land felt alive again. They had survived the worst, but their journey wasn't over. A new world was forming, and they stepped into it. The giants were disappearing, replaced by smaller creatures. They adapted their hunting to a changing world. Their weapons became faster, more efficient. They began staying longer in one place. They discovered new food hidden in water. Their diet expanded, making survival easier. For the first time, there was a sense of stability. Forests replaced the frozen plains. But new environments brought new dangers. They were no longer alone in this land. They used fire to protect themselves. Groups grew larger. Communities began to form. Knowledge became their greatest weapon. Skill replaced brute strength. But the cold never fully disappeared. They never forgot what the cold could do. They spread across the entire continent, adapting to every environment they encountered. They were no longer just surviving. They were evolving. The world had changed, and so had they. From struggle came strength. From survival came life. The Ice Age was ending. The frozen world faded into history, and humanity remained. They had adapted against all odds. They became the first people of America. And their story was just beginning. This is how humans survived the Ice Age. They didn't stop. They kept moving across an endless continent. Mountains, rivers, and cold winds. Nothing could stop them. They began marking land, making it their own. Shelters became stronger, built for longer survival. Families grew, and communities became stronger. They organized, planned, and worked as one. The world was no longer just ice. It was changing fast. The cold was fading, but its memory remained. The next generation learned from those who survived before them. They had crossed the Ice Age and claimed a new world. They moved forward, no longer just surviving, but exploring. For the first time, they felt a world not ruled by ice. They began to stay, building places they could return to. Their tools became more refined, built for a changing land. They no longer chased endlessly. They learned patience. Strategy replaced chaos, making every hunt more certain. Fire remained their greatest ally in every season. Stories were shared, lessons carried forward. They spread farther, shaping the future of an entire continent. The Ice Age had tested them, and they had endured. They reached a new world, and the cold shaped them, not broken them. They moved forward, together as one. They built homes from a frozen past. The next generation lived without fear. The Ice Age ended, but its mark remained. They became the first people of America. They survived against all odds.